Hey everyone, Stephen Harrell here, and welcome to the channel. I'll be discussing horror movies for you guys in a very blunt way. In my previous review, I had reviewed The Phantom of the Opera for its 100th anniversary, and a lot of time has passed since that time, right? I mean, like, later in the 30s, we ended up having Sound, right? Where Dracula was released by Universal, and then, of course, Frankenstein was released. A story based off Mary Shelley's Gothic novel. They would wait about 4 years before they decided to do a sequel to Frankenstein, and that sequel just happened to be none other than The Bride of Frankenstein, which was released in 1935, starring Boris Karloff and Elsa Lanchester, and it is celebrated its 90th anniversary on April 20th, 1935. A lot of people would consider this the best follow-up for Frankenstein that there had to be, but it had to be the only truest follow-up there was, since The Bride is created for Frankenstein in Mary Shelley's novel. So to have a film set around that part in the whole entire movie, it should go as no surprise that it became a successful hit. And a lot of people even gravitate to this film over the first film as a much enjoyable watch. But what do I personally think of it? So here is my review for the 90th anniversary of Bride of Frankenstein. So for the story of this film, Frankenstein was not killed at the end of the first film. He is just kind of gone into hiding, where he ends up meeting a blind man, DeLacy, who is in the novel of Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, and is taught how to speak, how to talk, how to learn better. And he kind of accepts the fact that he really wants a friend. He really wants some sort of companion, which is something that's in the novel. So Dr. Pretorius wants to ask Victor Frankenstein to make another creature, a bride for the Frankenstein monster. And that is where this story ends up getting its nice fruition from the source material of the novel. Now, of course, as we all know, when it comes to the story, it works. It's like Frankenstein's creature was a misunderstood character. And in the sequel, to see all this humanity for the creature himself, played by Boris Karloff, is just saddening. You feel sorry for this creature because he was just created and no one seems to fucking see him as interesting or wants to befriend him or anything. They see him as just a monster. And even in the novel, it's a little bit different, right? But for the story with how they come about with creating a bride for him is absolutely amazing, and that's the reason why this movie, after 90 years, is still looked at as one of the better sequels because of its story. Boris Karloff returned as the Frankenstein monster, and I know what everyone says. Is Frankenstein the monster or the doctor? Well, it's the Frankenstein's monster. He's not named Frankenstein. That's the doctor's name. Let's just fucking get that out of the way. Anywho, he comes back in this role with, actual dialogue. I mean, he learns it from DeLacy, the blind man, and he basically learns to speak. He learns to do other things, like he drinks wine, he smokes, he fucking talks. He's more of a character in this film than he was in the first film, and Boris Karloff sells it very well as the Frankenstein monster, the creature, whatever you want to call him. At the end of the day, he went from just doing to actual speeches. And that line delivery of him saying, "We be long dead," has lived on for 90 years. Hell, even another movie pays homage to that reference. And I will get to the reference of that later on in the video. But other than that, Boris Karloff's performance is a step up from the first film. You still have your usual suspects with Dr. Victor Frankenstein. You still have Elizabeth, who is playing Victor Frankenstein's wife. You have a new character, which is Dr. Pretorius, and he's the reason, he's the main villain of the movie, because he is doing it for his own kind of personal gain. And he thinks that Victor Frankenstein, yes, your experiment was great and all, but it was a failure. I'm looking to do better. And he's just that arrogant asshole, right? So kind of like how Dr. Victor Frankenstein was supposed to be an arrogant prick, right? But he at least knew why he was arrogant. But all these other characters all work well in this film. And with the new addition of Dr. Pretorius, who was never in the story of Mary Shelley's novel, it's a nice little welcome addition. But other than that, the characters all work. I mean, you do have Elizabeth, you do have Victor, and, you know, it's nice to see that those characters were treated a bit good, even though in the novel it's different. I'm going to have to touch up on this later on, but other than that, all the characters do a fine job. But the newest addition, and one of the most popular additions, is the Bride of Frankenstein herself, played by Elsa Lanchester. Now, she had dual roles in this film. She plays not only the bride, but she also plays Mary Shelley. And very gorgeous looking Mary Shelley, if we might say so ourselves. But other than that, Elsa Lanchester was established through Hollywood, doing other films before that and after. But this is the film that she is the most well known for, even though she gets maybe like 10 minutes of screen time altogether as the two characters. 5 minutes as Mary Shelley and 5 minutes as the creature. Like, a lot of people, like, they gravitate towards the bride herself. So many females in Hollywood, or in horror in general, fans of horror that are females, look up to Elsa Lanchester's character of the bride, and they just love the image. They love this character, even though she is not in this movie until the very end of it. Like, a movie called The Bride of Frankenstein, you think she would be in the good majority of the film, but she's not. And just the images alone of Elsa Lanchester as bride, it's stunning. I mean, it's an everlasting image that still holds up after 90 years, and she does her role very, very well. Now, I know you guys heard me say that this movie has a little bit of inspiration for another film later on down the road. Now, this movie came out in 1935, and a movie that came out in 1998 paid way so much homage to The Bride of Frankenstein that it was basically a tribute. And ironically enough, it was The Bride of Chucky, which is just the most outlandish fucking way of tributing The Bride of Frankenstein. I mean, they have Jennifer Tilly's character of Tiffany in the tub watching The Bride of Frankenstein, and even the quote, like, "We belong dead," and, you know, all this other shit, and it's just like, wow, so much references to The Bride of Frankenstein in a Chucky movie. This is so fucking weird, but nice little tribute nonetheless. Above all else, this movie has endured a lasting legacy for the last 90 years. A lot of people do watch the first Frankenstein film from time to time, but they always tend to enjoy the second one just as much. And with the character development of the creature, with Victor, Elizabeth, the new additions of Dr. Pretorius, and also the bride herself, the story works, the characters all work, and it's a film that a lot of people tend to say happens to be better than the original. And you can say that all you want about the original being the classic, but the sequel became a classic of none other than itself. And there's a reason why, after 90 years, a lot of people still tend to go back to this film, rewatch it, and give it a great appreciation. Basically, a second half to Mary Shelley's novel that was a bit exaggerated, but lovingly portrayed on screen with so much love. And after 90 years, I guess you can all say that it's earned its right to be a classic. So, for my rating, I'm going to give The Bride of Frankenstein from 1935 a 7.5 out of 10. So tell me, guys, what did you guys think of The Bride of Frankenstein? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, make sure you hit the thumbs up and subscribe for more content. And don't forget to hit that bell notification so you get notified about all the other videos coming out on the channel, especially in regards to the next video I'll be talking about. Which, as we all know, that The Bride of Frankenstein came out in 1935, 90 years ago. But there's another movie that came out with the Frankenstein title that came out this year that I'm going to be reviewing. So, watch out for that review as well. Anyways, guys, that's it for me. This is Stephen Harold. I will talk to you guys later, and remember to stay spooky.